Ahoy and welcome to this Narrowboat adventure. I'm here today with the lovely Sam, who is heading up a movement called Votey McVoteFace, and we're going to be asking the question, can voters sway the election that's coming up? What is Votey McVoteFace, Sam?
So Operation Votey McVoteFace is just an idea that me and a few friends had, and the idea is that because voters don't tend to vote that much, a lot of voters don't necessarily know how to vote because they're kind of moving up and down the country. They don't know necessarily where they should place their vote, and the fact that we realise that if they can vote in various different places, they actually have a choice over where they can vote, and if they have a choice over where they can vote, they could vote in a marginal constituency, which is obviously just a constituency where the difference in votes between like Labour or Conservatives is very slim. So the winner is basically won by quite a small amount. So for instance, in London, which is where we're kind of focusing the campaign, the kind of most extreme example is Croydon, where last year the Conservatives, well, at the last election rather, the Conservatives won by just 165 votes. So,
why did you come up with the name Votey McVoteFace? Or was that you?
Yeah, that was my idea. It just came to me. I just love the whole story about Votey McVoteFace and how that boat was going to be named Votey McVoteFace. And then it didn't get named in the end, and la la la. I just like that story. Yeah.
So you've been talking to people on the towpath.
Yeah.
What have they been saying so far? Have you been how's the response been?
So it's been really good, actually. Yeah, I've been surprised because I thought a lot of people would be, just not bothered at all, or be like, oh, what's the point in voting? But people have been really friendly, and it's been really nice to actually get to know loads of people on the waterways. And it's kind of, I've just taken my time to kind of speak to people as we go past the boats and everything. And mostly people are really keen on the idea and really happy to find out how to vote as well, because a lot of people didn't know, as we suspected, didn't really know how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been really good just to inform people, if nothing else. And people have been kind of thanking us for doing it and saying, yeah, I'm going to do this straight away. And it's been really, really fun, actually.
Yeah, because I didn't actually think that I could vote, to be honest. So I was really pleasantly surprised to find your leaflet on the end of my bow. My plan generally for the whole address problem with voting has just been, I just won't tell anyone, and they can all send things to my parents' house.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, a lot of people are registered at their parents' house or something like that, which isn't necessarily accurate kind of representation of where they spend their time. It's not really,
exactly. Yeah. Like, it's kind of frustrating because why would I vote in the local elections there? Because I'm very rarely there, and also, it's very hard and fast one particular party that I don't necessarily agree with, and exactly. It's just sort of a bit disheartening.
Yeah, exactly, because in so many parts of the country people are in a safe seat, whether it's a Conservative safe seat or a Labour safe seat, and you just don't necessarily feel like your vote's going to make a difference, so you don't necessarily go out and vote in that situation, which I think is a bit sad, really, because we all need to contribute to democracy for it to function properly. So and I think voters' voices deserve to be heard as well, and in lots of ways we're kind of like a bit marginalised as a community, and I think people don't feel like they're necessarily heard. But this is one way to kind of get your views across, I suppose.
And I suppose as well, because from the form, this isn't something that's just necessarily a form for voters, so this could be other marginalised communities like I guess like travellers.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's designed this form, which is kind of for people with no fixed abode or no fixed address, and that is travellers, homeless people, and
van dwellers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you're moving constantly.
Yeah, so I think it's amazing actually. So much of living like that, it's like everything with an address basically becomes a massive issue. So I think just the thought of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go through this massive issue just to vote, and then as well to think of that and then go, and then I'll probably still not make any difference because I'll be in an area where it's a safe seat. I know this is probably going to be the question on everyone's lips. Is this legal? Is it moral? Is it okay to do this? Are the government going to be upset with you?
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's totally above board. We've phoned up registration offices and asked about this, and as long as you have a genuine claim to that constituency, so you have some local connection, then it should be fine. I'm not sure exactly what the definition of a genuine connection is, I take it to mean essentially that you're part of that community. You feel a part of that community, and that feels like your home.
So if any voters are watching, how can they be involved? How can they register, regardless, I guess, of if they're in London or not?
Yeah, so the best thing to do would be to go onto our Facebook, which is Operation Votey McVoteFace. It's a group, and from there you've got all the details on what to do. But if you haven't got a Facebook, you can go directly to tinyurl.com/Votey McVoteFace, and that's just a download PDF, which then you would fill out and send either kind of first class post or potentially scan it back in and send it to your registration office. To find out the address of your registration office, go to Your Vote Matters online, and you can put in a postcode, and then that will tell you the registration office of that constituency.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And so with all that in mind then, is there, because obviously the election's quite close, how time sensitive is this?
It's really, really, really time sensitive because we're doing this at the end of the week, and this video I think is going to go out just in a day or so's time, and basically we need to get those registrations in the post at the beginning of next week, so by the 15th of May, because it'll take a while to process the application, and actually registration has to be complete by the 22nd of May, so that's a week on Monday basically.
Okay. And so if people want to do it a different way other than post, is there any other ways they can do it?
Yeah, so you can download the form and fill it out with some kind of application which will allow you to fill out PDFs and then email it to the registration office, or you could print it out, fill it out, and then scan it back into a computer and send it as well. Those are options, but it might be good to speak to your registration office and ask them which way they'd like to receive the information. Yeah.
And I know some people are doing it in person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can just drop it in person. Yeah.
Cool. Great. So obviously you are a London voter. Have you lived on your boat within the period of voting before this, or is this your first time voting since moving abroad?
I didn't vote in the last national elections on my boat. Sorry. So that was a little bit easier. So this is the first time I've had to do a national election vote. So I was a bit kind of unsure of what to do as well, but it's turned out to be relatively easy as long as you know what you're doing, if you know what I mean. I
think you've gone a long way to helping people know what they're doing,
cool.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
So how long have you been aboard?
I've been on my boat for about a year and a half, and I tend to cruise just up and down the River Lee actually, so I've only got like a river licence, so that costs me a little bit less, which is great, and it enables me to kind of get out into the countryside quite a lot, into Hertfordshire, and then I kind of cruise all the way down to Limehouse. We kind of stay there for the winter usually, kind of in central London for the winter, and then I'm on my way back out north now.
Does that include the Thames then?
It gets down to really, really close to the Thames, but I wouldn't go on the Thames. I'm just petrified of going on the Thames.
I guess because you can't go up to Brentford, you have to go through Limehouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't go directly onto the Thames at that point. It's just scary.
I wouldn't go through
Limehouse. Do
Limehouse.
that. Just scare that out of me.
We go through Brentford if we go on the
Yeah,
Thames.
exactly. I'd like to do that.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
If people are watching in London, what are the areas that would be the marginal constituencies in London that people might have a connection to?
Sure. On our Facebook group there is a list of the kind of top 10 marginal constituencies, but what we've realised that it might be better to do is actually focus on kind of 4 constituencies across London, which are, you're likely as a boater to have more of a connection with, because the river or canal runs right through that area. So I'll just list those quickly. Brentford and Isleworth, where in 2015 Labour won by only 465 votes. Ealing Central and Acton, where in 2015 Labour won by only 274 votes. Enfield North, in 2015 Labour won by 1,086 votes, and Westminster North, where Labour won by 1,977 votes. So it's all really, really tight. You can see just how much of a difference your vote could make.
That's amazing, actually. Especially with the way that the newspapers portray it, you think, oh, well, it's all done and dusted, and it really isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's still a lot can change in a few days. So in politics, you know, a week is short in politics, as they say. So.
Or a weekend.
Yeah, or a weekend. It's even shorter.
Register to vote. I guess the big question is, do you think that the voters can sway the vote in some of these areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, in something like Brentford and Isleworth or Ealing Central and Acton, there's a real chance there. So in Ealing Central and Acton, the last election, Labour won by only 274 votes. So that is so close that your vote can really make a difference. I mean, if we could get 274 people voting in that area, that could, you know, really change things.
Yeah. Right, so you heard it here first. Voters can sway the vote. If you want to do your part to sway the vote, one way or another, you can look in the description below where I'm going to put all the links to all of the things. So what is it? We've got Facebook, which is
Operation Votey McVoteFace.
We've got tiny URL,
which is tinyurl.com/Votey McVoteFace,
and that's where you can download the forms.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And
then if you want to find your registration office, or the registration office for the constituency where you want to register, that is Your Vote Matters, and you need a postcode for that constituency. Or if there's any issues, then just message us on Facebook as well.
Cool. Oh, and did you want to say quickly, so on the form, you're putting in what would you suggest to put as the address?
There's two. You have to put in two addresses, and you can put in whatever your local connection is in one address. Which for me is I'm using the boatyard, which I used last year in Enfield to black my hull, and I was up in Enfield quite a lot last year. And I mean, I think if you know, even if I just use the boatyard to just say fill up in water, that would be enough to have a local connection and you have a bit of connection with that place. So I'm using that address as for both kind of boxes on the form. But I could put like the registration office in the top one, and then put like an address where I want to collect my polling card in the bottom one, for instance. So even if you don't have a particular address, but you feel a kind of connection with that constituency, you can actually put the address of the registration office in the top box, and then you can put it in both boxes actually. So there's a few different options, and so for instance, I mean, forgive me for going on a bit, but if you wanted to have in the top box kind of the place where you have a connection, and in the second box the place where you collect your polling card, that would be legitimate. So it could be the top one could be a boatyard, for instance, and the bottom one could be your work offices where you can actually collect the polling card. But if you can't collect the polling card for whatever reason, or you lose the polling card, which I did last time when I was voting in 2015, you can actually just go along with your ID, and that should suffice basically.
I don't think I needed ID or a polling card last year, which is maybe a bit naughty of them, but
I think it's fine.
I had ID.
Yeah, as long as that you are who you say you are and everything. So.
So that's how you do it, and then just show up on the day and vote. Please vote. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for having me and explaining all how this works.
It's been a pleasure.
If you would like to follow us again, this is this Narrowboat adventure. You can click subscribe below to join us again. If you would like to, you can follow me on Facebook, where I just post when I put new videos up. Let me know in the description down below if you are a voter, and especially if you are planning on voting now, thanks to knowing how. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye. You can wave too.
Oh, I can wave too. Great. Bye.